around. You know what I mean? But let's see what the Rico law talk about.
Okay.
Get that little one right there.
This one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hold on.
Your payout if you suffered a serious injury at work, like a broken bone, torn.
We're going to go in depth now on the latest indictment against the former president with the Target 12 investigators. We're joined live in studio now by Tim White. And Tim, the thing that really stood out to me, and a word that we're hearing a lot today, is Rico for racketeering. You've covered a lot of Rico cases over the years. Walk us through what people should know about this type of case.
Yeah, well, absolutely. President Richard Nixon signed the Rico law into law in 1970, and Rico is short for the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. The law was put on the books as a tool to dismantle mafia families across the country. A federal Rico case has two key parts, pattern and enterprise. To prove a pattern of lawbreaking, federal prosecutors have to show at least 2 crimes occurred from a list of about 36 potential violations. Then they have to show those crimes were part of an ongoing criminal enterprise. Now, the law worked very well at decimating mafia families across the country. States began passing their own versions of a Rico statute. There are 33 state Rico laws now, among them Georgia, as we see in the Trump case, and right here in Rhode Island. Now, an interesting tidbit here, the U.S. senator who wrote the...
All right, so pretty much they're saying Racketeer Influence and Corruption Organizations Act, a pattern and enterprise, ongoing criminal
What does that
enterprise.
mean? What does the pattern and enterprise mean?
I guess you have to show a pattern of crime. Like your organization it's a drug dealing organization.
So when the mafia used to be like, okay, we're in sanitation, and they're covering up their money by fronting sanitation companies, that's what they want to see, a pattern.
But if they have a pattern of drug dealing or well, if it was illegal gambling, if it was drugs, if it was extortion, things like that. Yeah. So underlying, it can't be like, all right, I run a clothing company and I did some other stuff that was, but mainly I did some other stuff that's illegal. But
I run a clothing company, but I hire prostitutes every Friday. That's a pattern. That's under Rico.
I guess it could be. I guess.
Where's your income coming from? If you're supposed to do,
I think the pattern has to generate some money.
Yeah, got to generate some money.
I think it has to generate money, not spend money.
Let's say I got a clothing company. I buy ladies every Friday to throw a party at my man's crib, or I got a crib in the cut, and dudes can come through and you know what I mean, deal with the ladies or whatever the case.
So if we're gonna bring this back to the Diddy case, how does this prove a Rico? Where is he making money off of? This is for his own personal use.
Well, remember,
it's not like he's having huge parties and having all his friends. When we initially heard freak offs, our imaginations went wild.
Yeah, the people
we were
the
thinking
internet and they were crazy.
People coming in and he had stars on tapes and he did this to this person, this person, and he was holding this.
I think like I said, they only have
for personal use.
Right, but I think, like I said, that's one of the classifications.
What made him money? Even the drugs were for personal use.
Once again, I think if that's one of the things that it could be. I think there's like you said, there's a laundry list of things that it could be.
Right.
I think that's just kind of one of them.
Yeah.
In Rhode Island. Now, an interesting tidbit here, the U.S. senator who wrote the Rico statute, an Arizona Democrat named John McClellan, was a movie buff and loved the 1931 gangster film Little Caesar. One of the main characters in that movie was a mobster named Rico, who, now spoiler alert here, died in a gunfight with police in the film. So it's widely believed that's how he came up with this clunky acronym Rico.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
little history.
Yeah. Good to know. And Tim, obviously the mafia had been a problem long before 1970. What was it about the Rico statute that made it easier for prosecutors prosecutors to go after these mob families?
Well, prior to the RICO statute, it was very hard to charge those in the upper echelons of La Cosa Nostra. Mob bosses were virtually untouchable. There's a famous example. The way the feds took down legendary Chicago mob boss Al Capone wasn't through murder and mayhem counts.
Is there a trailer for that movie?
That's because
what's the name of that movie?
I
don't know. Watch that shit.
What was it?
No, the movie that the movie buff wrote about. He said Little Caesars.
Hold on.
Because mob bosses don't mayhem counts, but tax evasion. Touchable. There's a famous example. The way the feds took down legendary Chicago, the upper echelons of La Cosa Nostra, mob bosses were virtually untouchable. There's
1970. What was it about the RICO statute that made it easier for prosecutors to go after these mob families?
Well, prior to the RICO statute, it was very hard to charge those in the upper
Even more?
echelons of La Cosa Nostra. Mob bosses were.
You're saying the dude that
main
wrote it.
characters in that movie was a mobster named McClellan, was a movie buff and loved the 1931 gangster film Little Caesar. One of the main characters in that movie was a mobster named Rico, who, now spoiler alert here, died in a gunfight.
For that movie? They got like a trailer. Little Caesar. I never even heard. I mean, Little Caesars. You know, it has implications, but yeah, Little Caesars pizza. You always think about like Roman stuff, but this shit probably gonna be trash.
Little Caesars movie trailer.
Yo, now we just so fast. We just.
Happy New Year, boys. Say, there's a lonesome touring car down the street. I was wondering if you happen to know anything about it.
Oh, I got a good cafe business. I don't know nothing about automobiles, what's been stolen.
Well, you might if some of the bright young men around here had anything to do with it, wouldn't you?
She's through. She's out of the way. That's what she is. You're lying. You wouldn't dare. I wouldn't, would I? I'll show you. Rico, listen. I ain't gonna spill anything
Rico
unless
right
you're scared of. You think I want my neck stretched?
Well, you know too much. I ain't gonna take any chances. You're hanging around with me, see?
No, I'm not.
All right. You go back to that dame, and it's suicide. Suicide for both of you.
You believe me, Olga?
I want to believe you. What's that? What you got there, Joe?
Put the hammer on them. Oh, now. Flash dancing. Let's go.
Wait, Olga. Joe! There he is. Did he yell double crosser?
It's Rico, right?
I don't know. Is that the same guy?
That was a trash trailer. You don't know what's going on.
Yeah, that shit. Yeah, that was weak.
It didn't make me want to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We go on to Rico though.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we kind of get it. You know. Yeah.
How long you think this thing is gonna last, though?
I think we're gonna get a verdict. I think maybe like September. I think it's gonna be a whole summer. They're gonna drag this. This is it.
And how long has Diddy been in jail?
About to be a year. Yeah.
Only a year?
About to be a year. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think he'll get some charges that'll stick, and he'll get like a little bit of time served, and then he'll be out. Maybe a good 5 years or something like that. You know what I mean?
I think that's fair. 5 years is fair.
But that would be a loss on the government's part.
Oh, they get a conviction.
Yeah, but I don't think they would want to spend all of this paper just to say they got a conviction.
What do you think? Why? Why not?
Taught a nigga a lesson.
Yeah. First of all, also, if they could try to make him poor, that would be a bigger win than putting him in jail for the rest of his life. I think they might want to make him poor, or see if they can maybe
he can make some more. Let's see this. Well, him being out, he can make some more money. Maybe not the.
Can we talk about that? Can we talk about that?
He'll make some more money.
He'll make some money, bro.
How though?
Yo,
well,
dog.
because he still has his own stuff.
He can sell fucking lube.
Has his name
he
on
can
a lot
sell.
of
He can sell shit. He can sell baby oil lube. I know the baby oil stock is going up.
You what? No,
I bought a couple bottles.
He still has a lot of
that baby oil do, nigga.
Like I said, you can't even cut him out of music. That's the